Welcome to the Empowered Learning Podcast, where we explore the people, tools, and ideas shaping the future of education and leadership. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Scott Brewster, co-founder of Hats and Ladders, an edtech platform helping young people explore careers, build skills, and step into the future with purpose. Scott blends design thinking, game-based learning, and youth empowerment to make career readiness more than just a checklist. In this episode, we talk about everything from power skills and pivoting careers to the role of AI in workforce prep, plus why curiosity might just be the most important skill of all. Whether you're an educator, a parent, or someone that's passionate about helping the next generation thrive, you're going to love this episode. Good morning, Scott. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well too.
I'm doing good. Appreciate it. Looking forward to the conversation here. So lots to talk about. Let's just dive right in. You are the co-founder of Hats and Ladders. Cool name. We'll get into that in a little bit, but it's a career readiness and edtech platform aimed at youth, everything from 14 to 24, that helps learners explore and experiment and prepare for future work. So you co-founded that in 2015 to reimagine career readiness. So my question for you is, what was the spark in you that convinced you that the world needed a platform like Hats and Ladders?
Well, I, just like many of us, have a very windy road getting to where I am today. I have a PhD in education.
Okay.
And before that, I have 2 degrees in music.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah. So obviously the pathway to where I am today was super unique. And I think that that is pretty much the same for just about anyone these days, is that they don't always start out in the space that they end up in. And so I wanted to be able to help young people as early as they can
Right.
have some direction and ability to first have some clarity on where they want to go, but know it's okay
Yeah.
that if they change their mind or if they shift direction, that really you're learning from every experience that you
Right.
have. And so it's okay.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, really where that spark came from.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love the fact that you've identified that there is this either stigma or something to the effect that just I don't know, there's some shame even in like, hey, I thought that I was going to do this. Like I'm going to go to, I mean, I'm sure there's thousands of college folks out there that set out to do, hey, I want to do this, right? And then they get there like, that's not really what I want. Or maybe even worse so, they finish their degree, then they get in the real world and like, oh my gosh, this is not what I signed up for. So then again, this stigma or shame of like, or just guilt of like, hey, I got this degree, I better continue using that. But to your point, like the world is fast changing and people's needs and desires and whatever are just going to change and let's remove the shame and the guilt from that and just say, hey, it's okay, it's cool, right? Things are going to change. Let's prepare you to again, I love your proactive approach. Let's do this ahead of time, right? So we can broaden your horizons a little bit so you don't have like the blinders and you're just kind of blindly following into this one platform. But let's give you some options out there for you to pursue and just keep your options open.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Very cool. So, excellent. So, Scott, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What's your background? You mentioned a PhD. You've got a musical background. That'll be super fun to pursue as well. I have a music background as well. So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Louisiana, so that's where the Southern accent come from. And
Gotcha.
I started out as a music major at LSU, and then did some work at University of Louisiana, but eventually found my way to North Carolina, where I spent 19 years. I got my master's in music there. I soon realized that, hey, maybe I was not going to become a famous composer because that was my discipline, is
Okay.
composing. Which now, you know what? Maybe I maybe I could become a famous composer because I know how to network.
Yeah, true.
So alas, some of those durable
Yeah.
skills that my educators back in the day failed to teach me. But at any rate, I figured out that I could connect the music learning that I have with teaching. And so I became a music teacher. And early on, this was about the time that instruction was transitioning from kind of a all face-to-face world to some
Hmm.
digital teaching. And I
Right.
just really got good with technology
Okay.
and especially related to education. Um,
Hmm.
and that got me interested in pursuing a PhD. And so the PhD came from that love of learning, but also connected to kind of like this spirit of helping kids kind of gain a passion and initially in music. But soon I then built a connector to kind of like figuring out that workforce trajectory world,
Mm.
which led me to Hats and Ladders. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
So you saw
we
kind of a need or the value of just helping people along their path at that point. Is that kind of, is that
yeah.
fair to say?
Yeah, and there's some pieces that I left out that may be important to the story. And at some point I did finish my PhD, and I then started doing some college teaching. I became
Mm.
director of online learning for the University of North Carolina at
Mm.
Greensboro. I really saw how digital learning, especially like game-based or
Mhm.
interactive, could really be transformative. So I was learning along the way
Right.
that all of these pieces could connect together
Hmm.
um, to create change for individuals.
Hmm.
So the dean and the assistant dean of the department that I worked in, we all realized, hey, we could maybe do this outside of the university. So we started a small business, and that business focused a lot on federal contracts related to training and learning. So we did a lot of work
Okay.
with um, different federal agencies, DoD,
Hmm.
Department of Education, Farm Credit Administration, just like any um, agency, you name it, we probably did some work either
Hmm.
with them or adjacent to them. And so that was kind of the next chapter in my life. And at some point, I formed a relationship with a game-based learning company in New York City called Electric Fun Stuff.
Okay.
And that's when everything just started merging together. They were interested in this career connected learning aspect of kind of the work we had done previously. And we conceptualized together Hats and Ladders. And it grew to be really more like a snowball. It grew,
Hmm.
it was a really small thing, and few folks found out about it with big names such as
Hmm.
Michelle Obama.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Michelle Obama made a video about our product,
Oh.
and at that point, Hats and Ladders was just a product, and we were
Hmm.
able to spin it off into its own company. And 10 years later, in fact, 10 years tomorrow, because
Oh,
tomorrow's
nice. I was going to ask. I
yeah,
saw it was 15, so I was wondering if it had already happened or not. So, well, congratulations,
yeah.
man. That's a big deal.
So that was a long story, but like
Mhm.
literally that's how, and what I mean by that windy road, like, look, I just like gave you like 10 things that led me to where I am today. And
Hmm.
so it really was those combined experiences kind of collected along the way. And
Right.
the snowball analogy to me is really critical because you're
Mhm.
picking up new skills and new interests along the way. You're learning different stuff, and you're learning how to uh, make change happen
Hmm.
with young minds. And this
Hmm.
happens over time. And
Hmm.
so a lot of people would um, you know, build a company. It there's a lot of velocity and it happens quickly. And I commend those people, but I think that to me, there's been value in
Hmm.
building this over time because I've been
Yeah.
able to kind of like learn from mistakes,
Hmm.
learn from experts,
Right.
and kind of build this expertise with
Yeah.
my company to
Yeah.
make and affect change.
No, I love it. I love it. A couple things that I want to come back to, but so remind me the affecting change and just kind of launching a company later on. But I want to dig in a little bit to the game-based learning. Um, I think in the education world, we understand that concept and the value of that. But I'm sure that we'll have listeners that are maybe not in the education space and they hear game-based learning and they're like, oh, well, they're just having fun, right? I mean, I think that there is a maybe an undue stigma around that and maybe where people don't see the value. So tell me why you landed on game-based learning and why that was something that it was a value, not just it's not a nicety. Like there it was a necessity to do game-based learning.
Yeah. I'm not a gamer now, and I certainly was when I was in college and before. But when I started Triad, which was my first company, and
Mhm.
we did a lot of work with federal agencies, obviously folks like that support work that the armed services do understand the value of simulation, of
Yeah,
game,
right,
of
right.
like helping solve a problem or create a strategy based on simulation.
Yep.
And so for me, it was really, kind of natural. I understood the value. Um, and to me, it just made sense.
Yeah.
It was when we combined efforts with Electric Fun Stuff, which that's all they did. All they did was educational gaming.
Mm.
And they, probably their biggest release is called Mission US, which is used nationally for middle schoolers to learn aspects of American history. And so
Mm.
they just have some points of view and strategies that they use to kind of tie the
Hmm.
world that I was familiar with more closely to kind of like the world of K-12.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so to me, that's kind of like where um, that built.
Hmm.
And being engaged and being motivated in a learning environment is fun. It's even
Right. Yeah.
and it's necessary.
Yeah.
And even as adults, like if you go and you go to a presentation, a conference, a seminar, whatever, and it's just somebody talking at you,
Yeah.
like, look at what you're doing right now. You're creating like these talking like notes on our talking points because it's helping create this kind of visual connectedness to what we're saying. And so
Right.
in a way, you're gamifying this experience. So
Mm-hmm.
I saw the real value in I think districts too. We don't do as well, and cities that we work with. We don't go into try to pitch hats and ladders and say, "Oh gosh, your kids are going to play games." We
Mm-hmm.
our pitch is that we're gamified. You get
Hmm.
points. You might interact with simulation. You might complete a challenge
Sure.
that is a digital challenge, and so that's what we're able to showcase when we show our platform,
Hmm.
and then obviously young people love it.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
but great question.
Yeah, no, no, I appreciate it. That's a really good explanation of kind of why you landed there and the value of that. I mentioned right before we started here that the name of my company is Interactive Learning. So like you are literally preaching to the choir. Like if it's not interactive, it's not if it's not engagement, right there, right? Engagement is not just fun, it's necessary, right? Disengaged students are not going to learn, whether they are adults or whether they are kids. So like it or not, we need to. I mean, there's that edutainment. I think that gamified learning is different than edutainment, right? Edutainment could be something that you watch on PBS. Like gamified learning, that is, in a classroom with a goal, with a, that's a whole thing that could be guided by a teacher. Where edutainment is more kind of like in the background, just as a nice to know. But yeah, I appreciate that. That's good stuff.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you.
Another thing that I found really interesting in just again, and we talked before we started that there's probably going to be some conversations that you and I have offline, not podcast related, that are just kind of some fun synergy points. It's odd to me that we kind of came at this from a different approach, right? You started with adult in federal government, military, and then kind of landed in the K-12. And I've kind of did the inverse of that. I started as an education in education, and are now working with military and government as well. So anyways, I just as a talking point, I think that's kind of fun that we've had kind of crossing paths at this point, but very, very different worlds between education and government and military. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and I do think it's added a lot of value to what we're doing, for example, in K-12 and secondary
Sure.
school, particularly, because we really got our skill set built by serving people that
Hmm.
were adults already. And in the
Hmm.
case of, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but we are the career readiness provider for the city of New York through all programs supported by the Department of Youth and Community Development here in the city.
Okay.
And those programs can support people up to 40 plus.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so we got our feet wet supporting, um, is that is that a saying? We got our feet wet. We
Yes.
yeah, I'm making up sayings here.
Yeah.
But we got our start here in the city as well with programs that supported youth up to 25. Today, some programs that support adults up to 40 plus.
Mm-hmm.
And so our we were inspired by what it took for helping adults figure out either how to relaunch because maybe they decided to do something different, they were downsized, they needed to figure out a new direction. So kind of figuring out kind of that adult workforce workspace was critical to go
Yeah.
back
Right.
to
Yeah.
secondary school because we know what the end result is already for individuals that seek uh, to gain workforce development, build skills, get into a new career, or get into their first career. And so now we can take that, and we are taking that, and we're applying it to what's happening in middle school and high school. So we're helping those kids actually work backwards from what could be from them for them, rather than build it up from the bottom.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
that makes perfect sense. And again, in educator speak, that's called backwards planning, right? I mean, so why
yeah,
not extend that into adulthood and say, okay, let's think past um, your high school diploma. Let's go out and actually talk to the people that are in the workforce that are having to adjust and rebound on different things like this, and what have they learned? Okay, how can we bring that back to the kids in school and say, hey, to be prepared for this, here are some things. Which there's a couple things that I want to kind of jump into. Power skills being one of those. Um, so let's start with hats and ladders first, because I think that will then we can fit power skills underneath that.
sure.
So hats and ladders for the naming of this, I thought this was really brilliant. So you're encouraging folks that are using this. I'm not going to say kids, learners, right, to try on different careers. That's their hats, and then they are climbing the skill building, which is the ladder. So trying on different hats. What does that ladder look like? So I just think that's brilliant. I think that's a very just a cool play on words, and just a visualization of kind of how that looks. So kudos to that. I'm not sure if there's a question in there, but I thought that was a really
Thank you.
cool way to do that. Anything more on just kind of the creation of hats and ladders and kind of what it does right there? Because I'm intrigued about the Power Skills Lab, because a lot of folks focus more on the job skill readiness and what careers and this and this, but the Power Skills is kind of a unique thing as well. So anything more on the creation of that before we kind of switch gears a little bit?
Yeah, just overall, it may be helpful for you just to kind of understand what we do
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
with our platform. So essentially, we're kind of like the Tesla of career trajectory. So
Okay.
we help young people kind of explore themselves. We look at the data that is input through their interactions into our platform, their
Okay.
past experiences, their current interests, and then we create the clearest, most efficient path that they could take to that destination, just
Okay.
like your Tesla car would. You plug in where you're going to go, and it's going to take you there, and it's going to
Hmm.
like look at all the data around you, and it's going to understand that, hey, if you go
Hmm.
this way, here's some things to look out for. And then at the very end, obviously you are dropped off at your career destination. You might change your mind. So just as the car, you might manually override. You might
Hmm.
course correct. And so to us, it's that ability to do that self-exploration. It's that ability to kind of connect what you've already done. I mean, hey, maybe you were doing something as simple as being a babysitter in that eighth grade for your neighbor or your aunt.
Right.
Well, you gained skills from that experience.
Sure.
So we'll help you articulate what skills you
Yeah.
gained.
Right.
And then where else can you use those skills?
Right.
So to us, it's about making those connections, connecting the dots. And I
Hmm.
think that the idea that we're there for you to help you switch directions is
Hmm.
critical.
Right. Right. Yeah. And again, I'm sure I'm maybe harping on this a little bit, but just from personal experiences, like not even somewhat as demystifying, like, hey, I understand that there's going to be different things right here, but like taking the stigma away, like understand. And I think that, you and I are probably pretty close to the same age. I think our parents, it was, maybe one or two different jobs. And that was just kind of the reality, right? There was just this loyalty, and you would stay with a company for 30, 40 years. And then, our age-ish, that's going to be like shifting, where you got maybe three to five, right? Or maybe even more. I think the further we get into there, and maybe there will be a shift there. I don't know. But it just seems like, because things are changing so quick, and there's I don't know, dissatisfaction in the workforce is probably some aspect of that, and just being able to kind of shop around. The reality is, and I don't know the numbers, you probably know better than I do, of just the amount of careers that kids that are coming into the workforce right now are going to pursue and have throughout their work experience is far greater than what it has been in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's changing too, which is kind of
Yeah,
cool, but it's also kind of scary.
sure.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so you mentioned the data, right? Again, educators love data. Maybe military does too, but I know educators just they go goo goo gaga over data. So I would love to hear. So much of your platform uses dashboards, diagnostics, like you said, to guide learners. How do you balance though algorithmic guidance with just the messy and just human side of uncertainty and self-discovery? Because that seems like two very separate worlds, right? There's data and then there's like uncertainty and like, hey, I don't know, I kind of like this or not. So how do you balance the two of those?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, obviously there's cliche data that like district or a city or any program would need to understand, such as like meeting a mandate. So
Yeah,
did
sure.
my population complete their career plan, for
Right,
example?
right. Their ICAP or whatever.
But you bring up a good point about kind of that nuanced data that may differ for each person, and there could be choice, there could be options based on like inputs and so forth. We do have this proprietary algorithm, our I guess it's a machine learning.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm not the tech person, so forgive my pedestrian
No, you're
description.
good.
But we call it the C system, and our C system, helps young people
Okay.
see all these connections, connect the dots, and not obviously there's some ambiguity between certain choices that a person makes, or there may be, a degree, a scaled degree. Um, to what degree is
Mhm.
this important to you? That may obviously not be picked up by your system. So
Mhm.
there, we try and we make efforts to ensure that there's enough choice within our
Mhm. Mhm.
platform. So if you don't see what you expect to see,
Right.
that you can course correct.
Mhm.
Um, you have and you know where in our platform to get what you need. Um, and, if we don't have what you need, you just send a note to our help desk, and that data that we collect from you
Sure.
telling
Sure.
us that, hey, I didn't find this career in your
Mhm.
platform.
Mhm.
Help me.
Yeah.
We need to know that information because we need to know that what we're doing makes sense for those
Right.
individuals and is useful.
Mhm.
So great question.
Right.
Certainly a challenge to
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Uh, so you had mentioned machine learning and AI. Obviously, that's a pretty hot topic at this point. So in 2025 with AI, the remote work, gig economy, all that stuff. Again, this will be kind of our. I want you to answer this question, then we can kind of switch over to power skills. But what is one power school that you think every high schooler should master and is probably overlooked by traditional curricula?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Obviously, AI is super, I'm going to say it's cliche that we need to build those skills for youth. Hassan Ladders has multiple perspectives on how that should be done. We think there should be a world where kids are exposed to those overarching cross-cutting skills that are critical for you, no matter what job you go
Right.
into. So
Right.
what are those and why are they important? And then how do you attain those skills? And
Right.
then, hopefully the answer is in our platform.
Sure.
Um, and with practice using those skills and with AI tools. Um, and the other thing that's important for us to impart to young people is that depending on the pathway that you go down,
Hmm.
your view of AI might be different than mine. If you're a doctor, for God's sakes, you're going to be like looking at data points from millions of individuals about like some kind of health data to compare
Right.
cross incoming data that might be received for an individual. And so you've got to be able to use AI tools that can help you make sense of that and then perform that comparison and make sense out of kind of the data that you've received about that patient. And
Right.
so there are tools that are special to that field. There's tools that are special to the field of architecture that might
Hmm.
help you build a better house or construct a better building.
Hmm.
And so we want kids to not only be aware of the cross-cutting skills and get practice with those cross-cutting skills, but we want to bring awareness to the specific ways that AI is impacting at the pathway level and sometimes even at the career level.
Hmm. Right.
So that's
Right.
important for us.
Yeah.
Um,
So back to the power skills again, and just I'm sure you could do a better job of setting this up. But the little bit that I read about that and read that is so it's a gamified approach, but it's building essential skills like communication and intelligence, not again very focused on like, hey, in a plumber, this is kind of what you need, but like just to your point, cross-cutting skills. Everywhere you're at, you're going to need to be able to have some emotional intelligence. You're going to be able to communicate. So tell us, I guess, why did you see that as an important aspect, and then how did you kind of bake that into the platform?
yeah, that's a great question. So we have, from the beginning of platform development, understood that this world of soft and durable skills
Mhm.
is important for future career success.
Right.
So from the very beginning, we've kind of like understood that. And just like everybody else, we were focusing on those cliche skills that every educator probably knows and understands are important for the future of work: communication, leadership, conflict management. So the things that we've known for dozens of years need to be taught in order to have career success. What Hats and Ladders has evolved to understand is that where kids really need the help,
Hmm.
and even adults need the help, are on those nuanced
Hmm.
skills that are much harder to understand and teach.
Hmm.
Because a teacher can literally go to Google or any AI tool and say, help me come up with a lesson plan for communication, and input some information that they already know about good communication in the workforce. Because it's just, again, it's something that we kind of understand.
Right.
But then when you get into more nuanced skills like executive function, bias detection, resilience,
Mhm.
metacognition, even our systems thinking, um, code switching, that's an important one for young people these days. These are just things that educators have less experience teaching,
Right.
and so we feel obligated to include those as kind of our principal power skills. The other thing that we were learning is that a lot of people try to teach these skills, and everybody has some level of success teaching these skills to kids, but there's no, I guess, I'm gonna there's just not a single set of standards or
Hmm.
competencies
Right.
that are connected to this broader world of power skills.
Hmm.
And Hats and Ladders is really interested in developing key partners where we can pretty much power up,
Yeah.
um, not to sound cliche, but I mean, or use a pun on our product, since we're game based, but just really power up those durable skills development and make sure that they're meaningful,
Hmm.
and then maybe through that work inspire
Hmm.
other programs or other educators um, to understand how to teach these effectively. And so we're really interested in kind of that world, and we're working on a few projects that might end up having a policy
Hmm.
connected aspect to them, and they can then become a set of competencies that we can share with others, so that
Hmm.
there can we can make sense around kind of what we're teaching and all be teaching towards the same goals.
Right, right. Yeah, no, that's you are exactly right. Again, educators love standards and kind of knowing what is it the goal that we're reaching for, and when that is an ambiguous thing, and like everybody has. I mean, I deal with we've got curriculum that everyone wants their state standards, right? We're past national standards at this point, depending on which state you're in, and then trying to align those to all those different standards is a little crazy making. So I do see the value in that. So you mentioned inspiration. Obviously, that one of the many connection points that you and I have is the desire to kind of empower future generations, empowered learning. That's kind of what I'm all about, right? So if you could, look through your crystal ball, year 10, kudos to you. 10 years down the road, what would success look like just beyond your wildest dream 10 years from right now?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So I'm a real fan of connected learning, and I
Okay.
really wish there were policies and or a push to embed kind of career readiness and workforce development into the curriculum as a whole. So instead of an add-on, why don't we, uh, I guess, build career and workforce development literally into every core subject? Um,
Okay.
and this should start early.
Mm-hmm.
It should start in kindergarten even,
Right.
because this ensures that everybody has opportunity and they benefit and they benefit often and early. I said
Mm-hmm.
early a few times, but
Mm-hmm.
that's critical. Um, the other thing I think is important, we now have a business mentor, and he has been instrumental in helping our business grow and make good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that 10 years from now if every kid had access to a
Mm.
mentor and it was required, for
I
example.
love that.
So, how can we integrate mentorship programs more broadly into school curricula? How can we, um, I don't know, maybe even have it be a part of your graduation requirement
Mm-hmm.
or get credit?
Right.
Uh, I think it's a lot to ask, but I think it's not impossible. So, those would be two
Sure.
things, and if the world goes the way that it looks like it's going, and educators become more facilitators and less kind of like subject matter experts, which it could be real 10 years from
Mm-hmm.
now, then
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's where that educator of today can then
Mm-hmm.
focus more on mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
less on kind of like giving, you some basic knowledge that you can just look
Right.
up on an AI tool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so those would be my top three.
I love it. Those are really good. Those are really, really good. I love that. Appreciate it. Well, Scott, it never ceases to amaze me how quickly time goes with these kind of things. Just because it feels like we're just getting into things, and it's like, oh wow, we're 30 minutes in. So, if you wouldn't mind, I've got some questions for you that we always ask our guests, and would love to get your unique take on this. So, the three key questions we always ask are: number one, who is a leader that you most admire and try to emulate?
Okay, I've said this word probably 10 times today, and I hate that I keep saying it. It's not the only word in my dictionary, but
I believe
going
you.
to be a very cliche answer.
All
But
right.
the answer is Steve Jobs.
Okay.
Obviously, hats and ladders. We're trying to do things differently over
Hmm.
here in Chelsea, New York City.
Hmm.
And we think we are.
Yeah.
And we, understand that the way that we approach workforce development, career
Hmm.
readiness is novel, and we want to stay on kind of that cutting edge. And so
Hmm.
for me, um, that's really the leader that
Hmm.
um, I
Yeah.
would say.
I love it. Nope. I mean, being in the educational technology space, like if you kind of rest on your laurels, you're going to get passed up, and someone's going to come up with something more unique and whatever. And not that we're doing it out of fear, but I do understand the need for continuous improvement and this kind of stuff. And uh, I guess it might even seem a little bit hypocritical, right? If you were preaching, hey, career development and these skills that need to serve you better in life. It seems like the company probably should hold those same values and everything close to their heart. Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Question number two. What learning has most impacted you in the last year?
So that's a great question. I think I've been inspired most this year by
Hmm.
Google's product called Notebook LM.
Notebook,
Um,
what?
LM.
Okay.
And I surely wish I had this product when I was writing my dissertation,
Mm-hmm.
because once I learned to use it, I my life has changed. So,
Really?
for example, you can bulk upload
Okay.
dozens of resources, like anything from primary sources to research papers to
Mm-hmm.
research reviews and so forth,
Okay.
into the system and just start asking questions. So it's almost like a contained model where
Mm-hmm.
you're creating your own repository of data about
Mm-hmm.
a topic. So, for instance, we're very interested at Hats and Ladders. We've developed this work-based learning continuum whereby you start getting some early experience with industry-connected work
Hmm.
as young as eighth or ninth grade. Then you do, that's pretty much like seeing if this is even an option, this career
Hmm.
space is even an option for you. Then if you like it, you got your some interesting results from that experience, then you go into a longer, maybe 30 or 40-hour experience where you work on a substantial project that might be sponsored by a real industry
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
leader, and that might be focused around a real industry project.
Hmm.
And then later on, you do kind of your internship, your longer experience.
Mm.
Well,
Okay. Yeah.
with Notebook LM, what I've been able to do is I've been able to put in all the legislation, all the mandates for all 50 states related to work-based learning requirements.
Wow.
And I've been able to ask questions. Like anytime I'm like going into a new state or I'm having a new
Hmm.
conversation, I
Right.
literally type into this AI tool
Hmm.
uh, because I've ingested all of this
Hmm.
data.
Hmm.
Um, I say, oh, what are the state work-based learning requirements for Arkansas, for example? And
Hmm.
then we'll give them to me.
Wow.
So to me, this has been, and then if you're writing your dissertation, all you have to do is like literally put all your resources in, like all
Hmm.
your references, like literally all of them. You could put like all 300 in there,
Hmm.
and then you can ask questions about that literature and
Hmm.
about those those research
Wow.
studies. And yeah, it's just I mean I've been hesitant to put my own dissertation in there because
Hmm.
I'm sure it will um, I'll find out that I was pretty sloppy back in 2005.
And we don't need to go there, right?
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing, I should say, and I'm not uh, I'm very open about this, but I have prostate cancer. And
Oh,
I learned this about a month ago until literally I was able to upload every single
mm,
piece of research around the particulars of my cancer
mm-hmm,
into the system. And
right.
all I've had to do is ask questions.
Mm,
And I've been able to do the same amount of work that I probably would have
mm,
done, over many months in a week.
wow.
So I cannot recommend Notebook LM,
Hmm.
anymore.
Yeah.
So to me, that's been the product or the thing
Hmm.
that's
Sure,
impacted my,
sure. Wow.
that I've learned about and I've learned to use
Hmm.
that has,
Yeah.
impacted me.
Very cool. I feel like I'm somewhat in tune with that kind of stuff, but I never heard of that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I will
And
check
I'm
that out.
not, Google did not pay me to say this.
Yeah, right. It's not a paid advertisement. Good to know. Good to know. All right, Scott, last question for you. I'm sure that you have a very unique approach on this one just because of your passion and your mission for as many years, 10 plus years now, right? How would you empower learning for future generations?
Yeah, to me, this is a really important question. Obviously, I do believe that I think the most value that we can give a kid is to have them become lifelong learners
Hmm.
themselves. I have been infatuated with this three-eye atlas comet, or maybe it's not a comet.
Hmm.
And I just like I'm a science nerd. Even this prostate cancer, literally I've, poured time into just figuring it all out because I just love science. I love learning. And to me, it is, sad when I see a young person who just doesn't get excited about learning something new. And I think that maybe they just haven't had the right experiences or the right
Right.
mentor, like we talked about
Sure,
earlier.
sure.
So I think that if I could figure out how to get everyone to value
Hmm.
this lifelong learning, continual learning,
Right.
to me, that would be
Hmm.
huge.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I love it. And obviously everybody learns in a different way, and depending on experiences, whether they're having, learning disabilities or struggles and that kind of stuff. Coming out of school, wherever they end, I could understand how kids would not want to continue learning just because they associate learning with school, and if school has caused them harm, why would I want to continue? But for us that have lived for a little while, and obviously we do value education and value learning, the all of the best things that are going to happen in your life come on the other side of learning something new and trying something new.
Yeah. And to me, that's, we're coming full circle back to hats and ladders, and that's why
Mm,
hats and ladders is being built the way it's being built and being
mm.
evolved. It's evolving the way it's being evolved. It's because we want to make sure that it doesn't seem like a school product, that it
Yeah,
just seems like
right,
a life product.
right,
You
right.
need this for the next stage in life, or to make a change if you need to relaunch or discover something new.
Yeah. Learning for
Or if
life.
if you get laid off. I mean, like,
Yeah,
technology is changing. People, the world
sure.
of work is evolving. You may be forced to retool.
Right. Yep.
And, this needs to be seen as our product, in my mind, needs to be seen
Mm.
as a tool where you can do that, not just because your teacher told you to go do
Yeah,
something.
right.
So to me, um, it's critical.
Yep. Nope. I love it. I love it. Well, Scott, this has been an absolute pleasure. You and I just have lots to talk about, so I want to kind of end the podcast so we can talk about other stuff. But no, I really appreciate your time. Uh, Thank you for doing what you're doing and for seeing the need for and the importance of instilling lifelong learning and the need for that and demystifying, destigmatizing this idea of it's okay to shift gears, right? And it's okay to pursue different things and this kind of stuff. So, one more thing here before we go, I want to make sure and give you opportunity. Where can people find you? What should they learn? We'll put this in the notes, obviously, but what can people do if they're wanting to engage with you and Hats and Ladders?
Yeah, great question. You can find Hats and Ladders at hatsandladders.com. It's all spelled out. And then you can find me on LinkedIn, um, Scott Brewster. Actually, it says M. Scott Brewster because my first name is Michael.
Hmm.
Um, my mom just, she called me by my middle name growing up and it stuck. I think we had too many Michaels in our family.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's how you find me. And
Okay.
look out for the notes accompanying this podcast, and you can
Yep.
see the links.
Awesome. I was trying to get my LinkedIn. There we go. All right. So there's where find him in on and I did search for Scott Brewster and it does come up right off the bat for M Scott, so it's
Yeah.
not hard to find. So yeah, we'll put all those in the notes. And again, thank you so much, Scott. This has been an absolute pleasure. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
Okay.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That's a wrap on today's conversation with Scott Brewster, a true trailblazer in reimagining how we prepare young people for life, not just work. If this episode sparked new ideas or helped you rethink what career readiness can look like, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who cares about the future of learning. Until next time, keep leading with purpose, stay curious, and never stop learning.